This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 1022. Don't nickel and dime us. Listen today to reduce stress at the checkout counter. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast. Downloaded more than 50 million times, we believe in connection, not perfection. With your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Boston and New York City, USA. And to get your transcripts delivered by email every week, go to allearsenglish.com/subscribe. Do you ever get stuck in line when you're paying for something, trying to figure out how much a dime or a nickel is worth? Today, get your ultimate guide to American coins to avoid a panic moment when you're buying something in English. Hey, Lindsay, how's it going? Hey, Michelle, really good. We just came off of the Urban Immersion Adventures in Boston, and I am feeling happy. Like, we completed it. Our listeners were, our students there were amazing. They put all their heart into the activities, and it was just good. That's great. That's great. Oh my gosh. I bet it was so much fun. I love the Boston adventure. Like, I had so much fun last year when I went to Boston, and this year I got to do New York. But yeah, something really fun in Boston, though. That's great. Yeah, so cool, so cool. So what are we getting into today? Well, I have a question for you. Okay. So do you, like, when you travel abroad, do you ever have trouble figuring out money, like what coins are what and the bills and things like that? Yeah, of course. I've spent time just standing at the register with a big line behind me in places like Nicaragua and Argentina, maybe in Spain, and just being so confused. Like, you like pull one coin out, you look at it. You look at it and you like try to read it, right? As the foreigner, right? And then everyone behind you is like, come on, hurry up. Like, what are you doing? Right. I know. It can be, I mean, I think when you're traveling, that like can be one of the frustrating things before you figure it out. Like, actually, now that I remember it, now that I think of it, when I was in Japan and we would pay for the train, I remember like Dan didn't like we didn't have the patience to figure out like exactly the right coin. So he would just like throw a bunch in and just see what came out. And it was like we were like at an arcade or something. It was just so funny. You're like, let's see what happens. I can imagine that in Japan. Oh man, what an experience traveling to Tokyo and just being so confused. Yeah. So that was funny. But I feel like the train lines are like pretty easy, but it's just like the coins that we just threw them in, like throw caution to the wind, whatever ticket we get. Yeah, exactly. The train lines are pretty easy if you have a map in like English. I mean, if the map is readable, but if it's all in kanji, it's really confusing. It's crazy in Tokyo, but I would say the transportation is excellent in Tokyo. And also they're very helpful. Like you can just go and say like you want to go somewhere here and they just say the number. Like I feel like in New York they're not as helpful. So they kind of yell at you in New York and then or there's no one there or like exactly. So anyway, I digress. My love for Japan is, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I've had students come up to me asking about coins and, what these coins mean and that they find it a little confusing. And I can totally understand that. And it's not something that I often think about. But it's really important. Like you can have students who are, and it doesn't really matter the level of English, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that, figuring out these differences, right? Yep. And this is part of feeling good in a new country, right? If you guys are living in the US or you're going to travel here, you want to have a good experience. So you want to take a minute to listen to this episode to prepare so that because it's true. Like when you're standing there at the register, there's a bit of time pressure, right? Yep. And you have to keep moving, especially in big cities like Boston and New York. People might get a little impatient. Right. So we want to make sure we're ready. Right. And the reason I think it gets confusing is, one of my students was like, wait, so this coin is bigger than this coin, but it's less
it's less value. So, right. So with the US coins, the value of the coin doesn't necessarily correlate with the size.
Yeah. I remember thinking that as a kid when I learned how much a nickel was worth, how much a dime. I was confused. I was like, well, a nickel should be worth more than a dime because it's like twice the size.